I helped her start her boutique, built her website, even took a second job to pay off her business loan. One night, I opened Instagram and saw her tagged in a post, sitting on another man's lap, captioned, "My real support system." When I showed her, she said, "Grow up. This isn't the 1950s. That was the last time she saw me. But when the boutique got audited, she finally understood what I had done. We met working at this coffee shop in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, just outside Tulsa. I was a tech guy between jobs, taking shifts while doing freelance coding on the side. She was a barista who talked nonstop about fashion. Her name was Marissa. She wasn't like other girls I dated, she had a plan. She talked about starting a boutique like it was a matter of when, not if. She even carried around a little sketchbook with outfit ideas and layout plans. We started talking more during slow shifts. I liked her energy. She was creative, smart, funny. A little bossy, yeah. But that didn't bother me at first. She had a spark. Within a few months, we were dating. A year in, we moved into a small apartment. I had gotten a remote IT job, and she was still working at the cafe. But her boutique dream never went away. In fact, she started getting serious about it. Talking budgets, names, logos. I thought it was time we made it happen. She looked into a small business loan, but her credit wasn't great. She asked me if I'd co-sign. I was hesitant, but I loved her. She said, "I'll never forget what you did for me. I swear." So I said yes. $40,000. She wanted it fast, so I took a second job unloading trucks at FedEx in the evenings. My days were IT work, my nights were lifting boxes, and whatever time I had left, I spent helping her build the business. I designed the whole website from scratch. I set up Shopify, built her domain, and linked her payment processors. I hooked everything into her accounting system and even helped her learn how to track inventory. She didn't really understand the back-end stuff, she was more into the aesthetic. She'd pick out clothes and arrange displays. I handled all the boring stuff, taxes, payments, chargebacks, SSL certs, vendor emails. She opened the boutique in a small rented spot near Main Street. We were both so proud. She cried the first day it opened. Told me again, "You made this happen." At that point, I'd invested about $12,000 of my own money into the business, not counting the loan and my labor. I didn't ask for a stake in it. I should have. But I didn't. Because I thought we were building a life. For the first few months, things were good. Sales were steady. She gained followers on Instagram. Local influencers started tagging her. That's when I noticed she was changing. It started with her being on her phone more. She'd giggle at messages but never show me. Then she stopped coming home on time. She'd say she had pop-up events or late inventory deliveries, but she'd never say where. If I asked too many questions, she'd accuse me of not trusting her. One night, I saw a receipt for an Uber from a hotel downtown. Timestamp said 2:14 a.m. I asked her about it. She said she had to meet a vendor who was in town for one night only. I didn't argue. I just stored that away. Around that same time, she got colder. Physically and emotionally. I'd come home exhausted and try to talk, and she'd act like I was a nuisance. I tried asking her if she was okay. She told me, "You're just boring now. Always working." I reminded her why I was working so much. That her boutique still wasn't making enough to pay the loan back. That I was still paying 2/3 of the rent while doing her taxes on weekends. She rolled her eyes. Then came the night I'll never forget. It was a Saturday night. I got off early from FedEx, around 9. I texted her. No reply. She'd said she had a late customer fitting. I plopped down on the couch, opened Instagram, and started scrolling. That's when I saw it. She was tagged in some guy's story. I tapped it. She was at a bar, looked like the rooftop downtown. She was sitting on some guy's lap. His hand was on her waist. She was laughing, leaning into him. Wearing the same dress I bought her a month ago for her birthday. The caption said, "My real support system, 2 hearts." My hands went numb. I stared at it for probably 10 minutes. I screenshotted it and sent it to her in a text. No words, just the screenshot. She replied 5 minutes later. "Grow up. This isn't the 1950s. That was it." I didn't reply. I didn't call her. I just sat there. And I realized I was done. I left the apartment the next morning. She wasn't home anyway. I packed up my stuff, moved into a month-to-month rental across town, and blocked her on everything. She never reached out. Not once. What she didn't realize, what she never bothered to learn, was that I still had full access to everything related to her business. I owned the domain. I had admin rights to the website. I had access to the financial records, QuickBooks, Shopify, Stripe. I knew her logins better than she did. And she'd been using the boutique to cover personal expenses. A lot of them. I dug in. She'd been claiming meals as business expenses that were clearly just dates. Places like Ruth's Chris Steakhouse and hotel bars. She was withdrawing cash for vendor payouts. That didn't show up anywhere else in the books. There were charges at hotels, spa days, flights to Phoenix and Dallas, none of which had a corresponding business event. I downloaded everything. Screenshots. Statements. PDF exports. Then I went to the IRS's whistleblower website. I filled out the report, attached my files, and submitted it anonymously. I didn't lie. I just showed what was there. Then I waited. But I wasn't done yet. I let her site stay up for a while. But then, a month later, I redirected the homepage to a blank white screen that said, "Temporarily unavailable due to audit." I figured that would confuse her customers, stir up a little panic. And it did. I watched from a dummy Instagram account as comments started rolling in on her posts. "Why is the site down? Is the store closing? Can I still order from you?" Then silence. She stopped posting. Deleted comments. Eventually, her whole profile went private. I didn't hear from her, but I heard about her. A mutual friend said she was freaking out. Said the IRS contacted her, and that they were looking into her books. That she owed back taxes. That she might get fined, or worse. At this point, I didn't care what she thought of me. I had my own life to rebuild. But I made sure she felt the loss. Not just financially, but existentially. Her whole identity was wrapped up in that boutique. And without me quietly propping it up, it unraveled fast. She wanted to pretend I was never part of it? Fine. Now she gets to live in a world where I never existed. Except for the IRS. They remember me just fine. A few months went by after the audit started. I kept my head down. Went back to just working one job. Cancelled the FedEx night shifts. I was exhausted, but I finally had time to sleep and think straight again. Part of me felt free. But part of me still wondered how deep her lies had gone. Something about the way she flipped on me, like I was just a boring piece of furniture, kept eating at me. Then one night, I got a message from someone I didn't expect. It was Derek. Her ex. The one she used to call toxic and controlling when we first started dating. I'd never met the guy, but I remembered his name from the stories she told me. His message just said, "Hey. You don't know me, but I think we've both been lied to by the same woman. You got a minute?" I stared at it for a while. Then I replied, "Talk." We ended up on a call that same night. Turns out, Derek and Marissa had never really stopped talking. She reached out to him 3 months into our relationship. Said she missed how he made her feel. Told him I was just a rebound. She was sleeping with both of us for a while. He thought she was single. So did I. He found out she was still with me when he saw one of my photos of us pop up on her Instagram feed during our trip to Nashville. She had told him she was visiting her aunt. He cut her off after that. She begged him to stay. Promised him I was just a business partner, at that point. Told him I was emotionally unstable and obsessed with her success. That was the part that got to me. She wasn't just cheating. She was rebuilding the story. Making me the bad guy in the background of her new image. I wasn't even the hardworking boyfriend anymore. I was a weird, clingy dude who built her site and wouldn't let go. Derek told me she used that same line on the new guy too, the one from the Instagram post. The guy she called her real support system. Apparently, his name was Travis. Some fitness coach who ran boot camps at a local gym. Not rich, but popular. Charismatic. All abs and teeth. He helped her gain followers, plugged her boutique on his page. They did couple Q&As and little shopping vlogs together. And guess what? She told him that Derek was her emotionally abusive ex, and that I was just some loser who offered to help with her website once. She erased both of us from the real story. She built a whole new life on a lie. At that point, I couldn't sit still anymore. Not out of jealousy, but because I realized she still hadn't hit bottom. The IRS audit was only part of the storm she deserved. I went back into the old back-end systems, stuff I hadn't touched since walking away. She had hired some company to redo the website. I'd lost admin access to the front end. But her domain, her actual domain name, was still registered under my old GoDaddy account. That meant I could still see where the site pointed. And I noticed something strange. There was a hidden subdomain set up, something like wholesale.herstory.com. It was password protected. I cracked it pretty quickly. I guessed the password. Travis 2023. Figures. Inside, I found a PDF catalog and order forms. Bulk orders. Markups that didn't match her taxes. Names of resale buyers. And a lot of it looked shady. Some of it was dropshipping from overseas using fake, handmade labels. Others were knockoff brands with swap tags. One of the forms had her own signature on a shipment that had come from a banned Chinese vendor. It wasn't just fraud now. It was counterfeit merchandise. That could mean fines, lawsuits, maybe even criminal charges if it went deep enough. I backed everything up again. And this time, I didn't go to the IRS. I sent it to the brand protection departments of the companies whose products she was faking. Companies with real lawyers. Real teeth. A few weeks later, the hammer dropped. One of her TikToks went viral, but not in a good way. A customer had bought a handmade designer dress from her boutique and discovered the exact same dress on AliExpress for $12. People started calling her out in the comments. Someone linked a Reddit thread about scammy boutiques. Her name came up. Then screenshots of her posts started circulating. Her store got blasted on social media. She turned off comments. Went silent again. And just like that, her brand, the thing she cared about more than anything, was dragging behind her like a dumpster fire. But it wasn't over. Because then I heard from Derek again. This time, he sounded almost nervous. "Hey," he said. "So, Marissa showed up at my place last night. Crying. I didn't say anything." He continued. "She says she's being harassed by the IRS, got some kind of cease and desist from Nike for counterfeit tags, and that she's being set up by jealous men. Said she was gonna sue you. Said you ruined her life." I asked him what he said back. "I told her," he said, "you should have appreciated the guy who built your empire before you replaced him with a gym bro." He paused. She didn't like that. About a week after that last call with Derek, I got a certified letter in the mail. It was from her lawyer. Or at least, it looked like it. Some guy named Alan K. Riggs from a strip mall legal office in Tulsa. The letter accused me of unlawfully interfering with her business operations, cyber harassment, and emotional distress. It demanded I cease all unauthorized access and defamatory actions, or she would pursue civil and criminal remedies. No official case number. No court date. Just scare tactics on paper. I laughed. Then I checked who paid for the domain hosting of her attorney's website. GoDaddy again. Public record. It was registered to Marissa. Same billing address as her boutique. She created a fake legal threat through a fake lawyer to try to scare me off. That was the moment I knew for sure. She was panicking. This wasn't confidence anymore. She was drowning. Still, I wasn't reckless. I lawyered up just in case. A real one. My guy reviewed everything I had done. He looked over the financial documents, the IRS submission, the domain registration, even the subdomain content. His exact words: "You've got nothing to worry about. If she files, she's just opening herself up to discovery. You want to go on the offensive, let me know." I didn't, not yet. I wanted her to make the next move. And she did. Apparently, things between her and Travis weren't as solid as they looked online. Once the TikTok scandal hit, and her brand name was being dragged, he backed off. Fast. She posted one last couple's video, a lame, "We're stronger than the haters" speech, and then he vanished from her content. She deleted the comments asking where he went. That's when she popped back up on LinkedIn of all places. Rebranded herself as a creative retail consultant, and offered shop coaching services for female entrepreneurs. No boutique mention. No website. I checked the state business filings a few days later. Her LLC had been marked as involuntarily dissolved for failure to pay tax penalties. She wasn't just losing customers. She was losing everything on paper too. And then came the twist I didn't expect. My lawyer called one morning and asked if I knew anything about a GoFundMe campaign tied to Marissa's legal defense. I didn't. He sent me the link. It was a full sob story. Title: "Help me fight a stalker who's destroying my life." She described a jealous ex who was hacking into her accounts, sending fake tips to the government, and ruining her name out of spite. She called herself a survivor of digital abuse. She even posted a photo of herself crying. She asked for $25,000. I checked the donors. A few names I recognized, friends of hers, one former vendor, even her mom. She raised over $4,600 in the first few days. And here's the kicker: she listed the campaign under her new LLC name. A fresh one she'd filed for under a new business address, her mom's house. She was starting over. Again. Trying to wipe the slate clean. I could have walked away right then. She was out of money, out of options, and clearly desperate. But then someone sent me a message through an old LinkedIn I'd forgotten about. It was Kayla, a boutique owner from Fort Smith, Arkansas. She said Marissa had reached out to her offering a coaching call, and had tried to sell her a wholesale partnership with some new clothing line. Kayla got suspicious after searching the business name. She found my story on a Reddit thread. She messaged me asking, "Is this the same Marissa from Broken Arrow?" I confirmed it. She sent me screenshots of the emails. Same scam. New look. Now I was pissed again. Because it wasn't just about me anymore. She wasn't just running. She was rebuilding the same lie, just under a new name. I forwarded everything to my lawyer. He told me, "She's officially crossed into criminal territory now. If she's soliciting money under false claims after the IRS audit, and she's trying to launch a new business using fraud again, it's not just the government who'll care. We can bring civil fraud claims. And you have enough to report her to the state AG too." So that's exactly what we started preparing. This wasn't just personal anymore. It was about making sure no one else got caught in her web. And when we finally went public, I wanted every receipt lined up, every fake invoice printed, every screenshot in order. Because she wanted to rewrite the story. But I was the one holding the pen now. By the time we had everything documented and ready, my lawyer was almost giddy. He filed a formal civil fraud complaint with the Oklahoma State Attorney General's office and attached the evidence I gave him: screenshots of the old site, the shady wholesale forms, the counterfeiting invoices, the emails to Kayla, even the fake GoFundMe campaign. We also filed a separate report to GoFundMe's trust and safety team, with side-by-side evidence of her past LLC getting dissolved due to unpaid taxes and her new LLC being used to raise funds under false claims. My lawyer didn't just stop there. He contacted the original brands whose products she had faked and told them where to look in her social media history for counterfeit examples. I already knew some had opened cases for this kind of theft. And the best part? We turned in a tip to the local DA's office, alerting them to the possibility of tax evasion, interstate wire fraud, and consumer deception, especially since she had taken money from out-of-state customers under false business claims. Then we waited. And everything unraveled fast. It started with her GoFundMe being shut down. She posted a panicked Instagram story. "Some troll reported my page. I'm being targeted by a bitter ex who can't move on." Within hours, her story was screen recorded and shared on Reddit. The same thread that started months earlier now had over 15,000 upvotes. People were digging through her old posts, finding deleted product listings, exposing fake tags, and posting their bad customer experiences. Then she disappeared from Instagram completely. Her coaching website went offline. No one heard from her for 2 weeks. And then came the news. A reporter from a local Tulsa outlet contacted me for a comment. Apparently, Marissa had been charged with multiple counts of business fraud and deceptive trade practices. The article didn't use my name, just called me a former business partner who came forward with key evidence. They said the AG's office was working with federal investigators because some of the counterfeit goods crossed state lines. She could face jail time if convicted. Definitely massive fines. But the cherry on top? Travis, her real support system, filed a civil suit against her. Turns out she'd convinced him to loan her $9,000 to save the business, right before everything went public. She'd promised him 10% of the new LLC. When it all blew up, he lawyered up. Claimed she misled him, forged a contract, and cost him clients when his name got dragged into her boutique scandal. She tried to spin it, of course. Claimed she was the real victim. But no one believed her anymore. By then, she was toxic. Nobody wanted to be associated with her. A month later, I got my official letter from the IRS. They had completed the audit and found enough violations to justify full repayment of back taxes and penalties. Since my tip led to successful recovery, I was awarded a whistleblower payment. I used part of it to finally pay off the last of my own student loan debt. The rest, I spent on something small but symbolic. A new laptop. A clean slate. Some people asked why I went through all that trouble. Why not just walk away? Because she didn't just cheat. She used me. Lied to me. Rewrote our history to make me look weak, obsessed, disposable. She sat on another man's lap and called him her support system while I was still sweating through night shifts to pay off her business loan. Then, when it all came crashing down, she tried to spin it again, this time as abuse. As harassment. As a sob story for cash. And if I hadn't stepped in, she would have done it again. To someone else. Maybe even worse. She never apologized. Never tried to make things right. But karma didn't need her to. The boutique is gone. The brand is poisoned. Her name is ruined in the very industry she worshipped. She'll never get a real business loan again. No serious investor will touch her. Even her personal relationships are wrecked. Derek exposed everything in his court testimony. Travis washed his hands of her. And me? I moved out of Broken Arrow a few months later. Found a place in Austin. Got a better job with better pay. I freelance a little on the side, build websites for people who appreciate the help. I still think about her sometimes. Not out of longing, just disbelief. How someone could take everything I gave her and still think she deserved more. But I remind myself, she built her brand on lies. And in the end, the truth did what it always does. It burned every lie down to ash. And left her sitting alone in the wreckage.